Today we are going to talk about how knowledge has transformed over time. So let's start by medieval Europe. In medieval Europe, knowledge was equal to scriptures into logic. Now, what does this mean? In medieval Europe, when somebody wanted to acquire knowledge, they usually read a lot of scriptures and then derived logic from it. Like, for example, if somebody wanted to gain knowledge about sex or about marriage, then they would read Bible, and then in Bible they would start to witness all these phenomenons and all these texts from which they would derive that okay, in this proverb the god said this and thus this happened. Now the problem came when, because of course, if it this was well, this was right, then we wouldn't need another version, but it was faulted. And the problem came when the different people read the same text but derived different knowledge, because every human is different. One sees god in a stone and other sees stone in a god. Like, you can have two people same experience the same thing and they would have different conclusions. Like, for me, if I face some kind of difficulty, then I think that okay, God has given me this difficulty, and that's good because if I overcome it, I will be a better person, right? But if you think another modern liberal person from the West, if he goes through some difficulty, he thinks that I am destined to have a great life, but I'm not having, so this is bad. So both of us, we had the same experience but derived two different conclusions. And this was the one major problem which was having when this equation was in use, that knowledge is equals to scriptures into logic. Because the scriptures were the same, it was a constant, but many people had different logics and thus knowledge differed. So the next equation which came into existence was this and this came around the time of scientific revolution, when the equation became that knowledge is equal to empirical data into mathematics. Now people didn't need logic, they didn't need a value system, or they did. So first of all, that knowledge is equal to empirical data into mathematics. People, through a large amount of time, collected data, because data can never be wrong, right? They collected data and they used mathematical tools to analyze them. Thus this became the new term for knowledge, but it was also flawed. Now why? Because science could never prove that murder is a sin, right? That stealing is wrong. We humans, in order to survive, we need some kind of moral judgment needs to be passed on us when we commit a certain thing, when we do a deed which is either classified as good or bad. Something needs to be there to tell us of our value judgment, but science can never do that, right? So this was also flawed, even though this helped in many things like improving our knowledge in physics, astronomy, medicine, all this stuff. But it didn't help us to have a concrete value system, which is needed, right? So then, finally, the third equation came into being, which was knowledge is equals to experience into sensitivity. Now, what does this mean? Just think about that. Knowledge depends on two variables. First is our experience. Like, how do we get knowledge? We experience something, and then from our own consciousness, we decipher or discern it into a good experience, a bad experience, an experience to learn from, an experience to forget, an experience to keep. Like, all these things we experience, right? And then we discern from ourselves that okay, this is something which I want to remember, this is a lesson which I want to keep. Like, if I touch a hot pan, my hand will get burnt. So, touching a hot pan and experiencing pain was the experience, and the lesson was that I will never touch a hot pan again. So, this was my sensitivity, that I was able to understand that okay, this is something which should never be done, right? So, I will give you another example. Like, while reading a book, knowledge is acquired, right? Everyone knows that if we read a book, some kind of knowledge is acquired. But how? First, we have the experience of the author who has written this book. Because what is a book? It's the experience of an author collected over a certain period of time, right? And then it's your sensitivity to understand this topic. Just think that you are a really deep person and you can understand things really easy, but the author wrote a very shitty book, like very bakwas and boring book. So the knowledge won't be acquired, right? Because the equation, if for example, if there is this is a good number like 50, let's suppose, but this is 0, then the knowledge will be 0. And if this is around is 0 and this is 50, then also answer will be 0. We need both experience and sensitivity, or else the equation falls, right? We need both of them, or else our equation will fall. So while reading a book, a knowledge is acquired. First of wait a minute. I need to change the color pen. Pen color, yes. So while reading a book, a knowledge is acquired. But just think that the author is also good. Like in this scenario, the author is good and he has a lot of experience and information which is distilled into you. But you are not or you don't have that level of understanding or that character that you need to understand his things, then knowledge won't be acquired, right? So you need both of these ingredients, the experience and the sensitivity to understand the experience. So now you can understand that how great this is. Like up till now, everything was in this dark ether, and you there was nothing which you can see except a few blinks. But now you know that you just have to do three magical things and your problem will be solved. Just three magical things and your problem will be solved, right? It's crazy. It's really interesting to see, right? At least it's to me interesting. So now, wait a minute. So the task for you is to figure out three things: that what knowledge you want, what experience you must embrace to gain this knowledge, and how sensitive you should be. If you want to have the knowledge of not touching a pan, you have to touch the pan to know the experience, and you just need a little bit of sensitivity to understand that okay, I don't need to touch it. But if you have a knowledge which, like, you want to learn history over 500 period gap, then you have to have a lot of knowledge. You have to first read a lot of text, watch a lot of documentaries, listen to a lot of podcasts. You have to do all that. And then you have to be sensitive enough to embrace different ideas, different cultures, different traditions, different beliefs, different desires of people. All these things you have to be sensitive enough to take it in you, and then first of all rationalize them, that okay, this can happen. Make sense of them, that this people thought this way because of this, and then understand and take your own learnings from that. So this is a three-step process. First, you have to think, what knowledge do you want, what experience you must embrace to gain this knowledge, and how sensitive you shall be so that you can have this knowledge, right? So magical, right? Now you don't have to be in this unseen ether, that how will I gain knowledge. You just have to understand that which field you want to go in, what are the things you need to learn, and how can you learn them. Like, just simple, right? These are the three things which you can do, and they will improve you. And now you have to And now we have discussed about this equation, right? That knowledge is equals to experience into sensitivity. But I won't leave you at that, right? I will tell you how to judicially first improve your experiences and then your sensitivity so that the knowledge which you acquire is of the highest tier, right? So let's start. First, by thinking that how can we enrich our experiences. So, first we have to pursue knowledge for its own sake. Now, what do I mean by that? Whenever you see a river, you have to think that why is the river flowing in this way? What is the velocity of the water? How can I build a canal around it? what which velocity the water is hitting the stone, and all these, you don't have to just think of it as, oh, it's a river flowing, but you have to deconstruct it into little things which are or interesting to you. Like, this was just an example which Leonardo da Vinci used, but you can have your own river, right? Instead of just thinking, okay, this works like this, just like, for example, if a person, like, I am really interested in the gym, instead of just thinking or getting my instruction from a trainer that, okay, you have to bench press this amount of weight to have a good chest, I could think about it that, okay, what does even bench press do? How do I perform it to maximize my muscle gain? What should be my technique? Should I be slow on the eccentric and fast on the, like, while moving upwards? And I should I do it in the first set or in my last set? Like, these are all the things which I can think about, and this is what I have to pursue. This is what is called by pursuing knowledge for its own sake. Because just think, in order to build a good chest, I can if I do bench press quite often with progressive overload, that's it. But that's not knowledge. That is some which someone told me that you have to do this and you will build a chest, and I never thought about it. I never consciously thought about that. I never analyzed the argument. I just took his word for its sake. But in order to have an enriched experiences, not just passive engagement, but actively engaging in life, you have to think about stuff, right? You can't just let people make you think. You have to think on your own basis, on your own curiosity. Now, you have to actively look for distinctions and patterns, because most of the things happen in patterns. Your life is a cycle of patterns, right? You wake up, most of the people go brush and get ready for the day, then they do the eat their big breakfast, do their then they do their work. At night they hang out with their family, and then they sleep. Like this, there is a certain set of patterns of actions which they rewind themselves, which they do on a consistent basis. Like, and everyone of course has different patterns, but the thing that remains the same is that they do that over a period of time. Like, today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow will relatively be the same, right? Of course, the pattern for some people will be like this. For some people will be like this. For some people will be like this. But everyone will, if they have this pattern, then they will repeat this pattern over a long enough time frame to record them. If the person has this kind of pattern, then they will repeat it, and if the person has this, then they will repeat it. It doesn't matter what kind of pattern they have, they will repeat it. So you have to actively look for distinctions and patterns. Like, in the, like, I will give you a gym analogy as always, because I love the gym. Actively look for distinction of, for fuck wait, let me think of an example. So yeah, first, like, most of working out is same. You have to pick exercise, you have to progressively overload, and then you will build the muscle for that specific exercise. This is a pattern which I personally observed, that, okay, in order to build muscle in the gym, I have to do three things. First, I have to lift a particular weight or do a certain exercise. Then I have to progressively overload. Like, if the first week I did 10 kilos, then on next week I will do 11 kilos or 11.5 kilos or 12 kilos. I have to progressively overload. Then I have to eat right, I eat enough amount of protein, and then I have to sleep right. So this is a pattern which I know that if I do these three things, I will achieve my dream physique. How easy this is if you think about it, that this ephemeral thing of building my dream physique now came down to three steps: just lift heavy weights with proper technique, eat the right amount of protein, and get enough rest. Like these three things and I will achieve it. And how did I made myself see the unseen? By looking for patterns and distinctions. Like, of course, if I want to be knowledgeable, I have to read a lot of stuff. I have to then process it and derive my own conclusions. Like, there is a slight distinction, but the pattern still remains, right? Let me get some water and I'll just drink from the. I'm a crazy person. And then you have to go deep and not wide. Like I was researching this using DeepSeek, and the AI tool told me this great example that instead of visiting 5 cities in 7 weeks, just visit one part of a city in 1 week, and then taste all the foods there, all the local, talk to all the local people, understand their culture, why they do certain stuff, and this way you will have a much deeper understanding of why the people have this. No, you will have a much deeper knowledge on those kind of people rather than having surface level stuff, surface level knowledge in five different things. Go really deep and understand one thing. In life, you have to understand a lot of things. That's right. If you want to be really great at something, you have to have a lot of things. You have to have a lot of understanding, a very deep understanding, and a lot of things. But you can't have them by actively focusing on all of them. You have to first pick a field. Like, okay, I will hit the gym every day, and first I will have a good enough body, then I will train hard for martial arts, then I will professionally compete. Like this is a process, one 3-step processes. It happens in patterns, right? You can't just think that okay, I will go hit the gym today also, and then I will learn martial arts, and in a week I will go do a competition. This doesn't work, right? You have to first go deep in a field, and then after learning enough about that field, then you have to enlarge your circle. Like I just thought of a good analogy. Like think this is your kingdom, you are the king, and do you think that what will be this king's best decision? Either expanding this kingdom till here, or first improving this kingdom which he already has by hospitals, schools, a good drainage system, police system, and all these things. First, he must improve the circle which he has, the territory which he has, and then he will start to conquer the new territories, right? My throat is hurting, like I am kind of sick, but I think that this work is important and I have to do this. So yeah. Now, after we have discussed that how can we improve our experiences, now we will discuss how do we improve our sensitivity. There are four things which I wrote down, four subheadings in this thing, and this is this. First of all, it's attention. Then we will talk about emotional intelligence. Then we will talk about theory of mind, and then metacognition. Like these are the four steps which we will talk about in this section. Okay, so let's start by attention. What is attention, right? The first question comes like, what is attention? It's a cognitive process of selectively concentrating on one thing while ignoring others. Like, what is attention? You concentrate every amount of your power or concentration on one thing and ignore everything else which is happening right now. Like while I'm recording this video, I am concentrating on the task of reading the text and explaining them comprehensively. And in this process, I am ignoring like what's my mother doing right now, how is my father, what cricket match is going on, which new anime is coming. Like I am within this certain period of time, I am ignoring this stuff, right? So this is what is meant by attention. Now everyone knows this, right? Like right now, this in these days, everyone knows that having attention on a particular thing for a long enough time horizon is really important to achieve a success. But how do we do that? Well, we can increase our attention by practicing meditation. Now, I don't want you to do any fancy stuff. Just take your phone, get on your phone, use your phone's timer, and just time 5 minutes and try your best to hold your attention on your breath for 5 minutes. Just like do this for 5 minutes every day. And whenever a thought appears, just revert back to the breath. A thought appears, revert back to the breath. A thought appears, revert back to the breath. This is what attention is. Because either you are a monk and you have no desires or intentions or no thoughts, or you are a normal person like most of us, right, who have constant intentions and desires and thoughts coming into us, like we are doing one thing and another thing pops in our mind. So the best thing we have to do is to say no to that thing which is coming with the thought is coming, and revert our attention back to the one thing which we are doing. Like I am recording this video and my attention is again going to my throat, that I have a sore throat, I have a sore throat, but I'm reverting my attention back to this video, that okay, I am talking about this thing. And yeah, so you have to increase your attention, to increase your sensitivity. You can do that by practicing meditation. It's really great exercise. Plus it also helps you disconnect from people and disconnect from situations, thus making you more logical and less emotional, which is really great. Like everyone wants to be logical these days. So the second aspect is emotional intelligence. It's the ability to recognize, understand, and label one's own feelings. Like most of us don't even recognize our own feelings. We don't even consciously think that I am feeling angry, I am feeling tired. They just go around on their whims. Like they are feeling sad and they will eat food. They don't consciously uh, stop and think that okay, I am feeling this. And this is what we call emotional labeling. Like this is how you improve your emotional intelligence, by actually just stopping and saying that I am angry. And whenever you say this, you are conscious, you are putting taking out the blanket in which the unconscious is, and now the at unconscious is naked, right? And you can say that okay, I am angry, and now you are conscious about it, so you can take the necessary steps to be less angry, or act in a way which is conducive to your goals, instead of feeling a certain way like anger, depression, sadness, happiness, right? So the third aspect is your theory of mind. It's the ability to understand that people have their own desires, beliefs, and intentions. Everyone is different, right? Some people love to make money, some people don't. Some people love the gym, some people don't. Some people see a person stealing baby wipes and think that it's okay because it's for the baby, right? For a small 1 year old, and it's okay even if it's stealing. And the other people think that no, it's still crime. Some people think that it's okay to be a little racist, some people think it's not. So everyone is different, and this ability to understand comes in handy, because if you want to be great, you have to work with a lot of people, right? No one person can do a lot unless you are in science, and you are Einstein or Newton, or like you are Newton and you are discovering gravity, or you are Einstein or you're discovering relativity. Unless you are not those, you have to work in with people to create exceptional products, exceptional services. And thus you have to understand the people, because people only follow the leaders who understand their sufferings, their feelings, their weaknesses. And the simple thing you can do to improve this aspect of yourself is put yourself in other people's shoes. That he is so obsessive about money. This is something which you see, but you have never seen how when he was a kid he used to be slandered by his parents because they didn't have money, or he always was left in the class. Why? Because he didn't have money, so he wants to make a lot of money. This his intentions. Instead of seeing him as greedy, stop and think that, okay, if I was in this guy's shoes and I was in a traumatic household with no money, be what would I grow up to be, right? So that's a really good thing to do, which I never do. Like, this is the one thing which I do. I have pretty good attention span, I have really good emotional intelligence, but I am an utter failure in this theory of mind section. I am not able to understand people's feelings, desires, intentions, because fundamentally no one understood mine. That's a topic of discussion for another day. But yeah, that's something which you have to understand, right? And the fourth part is that metacognition. Really fancy word, right? It's too cool to know these words. So it's thinking about your own thinking. Most of us have this cognitive bias. We see and interpret things in a way which makes us believe our own cherished and deep desires and intention beliefs. Like the Nazis, while the rule of Adolf Hitler, they deeply believed that they was a superior race. They never questioned themselves, and this was a flaw, right? But they never questioned themselves. They never questioned their own beliefs, and thus they committed such atrocities. But this all that could have stopped if Adolf Hitler just questioned his beliefs, but he didn't do. And we always slander him. But just think about yourself. There are many beliefs which you are still holding tightly, and you know they are wrong, but you never even question them. You don't pick up that part from your life because you know that that's something which you have to question and improve if possible. So you have to think about your own thinking. You have to think that, okay, I think about this stuff, but there is this route also. Like, I believe that the goal can be achieved through this road, zigzag road. But maybe there is a more simpler road like this, which will take you to your goal faster. But we are so inside of ourselves that we never even take the time to question our beliefs, and which is really important, right? Because learning happens when we get to know that what we were thinking was wrong, and thus we change our path. But how we will change our path, how we will learn when we never even question ourselves? So you have to question yourselves on a daily basis. A good technique for this is thinking pause. Like, pause for a moment and think that why were you thinking what you were thinking? Okay, I believe that I am superior than other people. Stop. Why do you think that you are special than other people? Because I'm going to the gym for 1.5 years. I read a lot of books. I make these educational videos. I'm also learning coding. I do all these things, and thus I'm special. And then the question comes that aren't more people, aren't there a lot of people who are doing this stuff and are actually outperforming you, Neeraj Agarwal? So then I will be like, yes. So maybe I'm not that special after all. And this is the way, this is the Socratic way of thinking. Socrates used to do that. That get deeper and deeper, and why, until you get to the core truth, the core naked truth. So that's what you have to do. Thinking pause. So this is all about how the knowledge is acquired by having this equation, this great equation, that knowledge is equals to experience into sensitivity. I will write it once again because it's really essential, right? Knowledge is equal to, oh fuck, I won't write. Like, this is dumb. But you get the point, right? That this is the equation which you need to understand, that knowledge is experience into sensitivity. You need to have both things. You need to have the experience, the rich experiences of life, to able to, and then thus be sensitive enough to interpret those experiences. So you need to have those things if you want to be truly wise, if you want to have wisdom in your life. And yeah, that's it for today's video.